All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating modern fable called The Wisdom of Silicon. It's all about a man named Memnon who comes up with a plan to perfect his life, and it's a plan so radical it just might be his undoing.
And it all kicks off with this pretty chilling declaration, right? Memnon, who you could almost call a philosopher for our digital age, basically decides to engineer a life of pure, cold reason. He really truly thinks he's cracked the code, that he's found the perfect blueprint for living.
So you might be wondering, what does this perfectly rational plan actually look like? Well, it's pretty much a systematic takedown of everything that makes life, messy, inefficient, and, human. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the steps he took.
Okay, so first up, all his non-functional stuff, gone. We're talking his grandmother's paintings, letters from his late father. If it doesn't have a clear utility, it's out. Then food. That gets reduced to this beige nutritional powder. Taste, irrelevant. And friendships? Yeah, those get an audit too. Only people who provide measurable value make the cut.
And this really lays out his new worldview, doesn't it? All those subjective things, happiness, connection, sentiment, they're just tossed aside. He sees them as inefficient, unnecessary. His goal isn't to live a good life anymore. It's to operate like a piece of software with just cold, hard precision. Wow. And you see the human cost of this, immediately. His friend Charlotte just asks a simple human question, are you happy? And his response, happiness is irrelevant. I'm efficient. He's basically optimized himself right out of a normal conversation. It's chilling. Okay, so fast forward to day 7 of his new optimized life. And then something really weird happens. This interface just appears on his screen, a mysterious algorithm calling itself an oracle. It gives him 3 questions. And this right here is where Memnon's full rational world starts to crumble. So for his first question, he's basically looking for a pat on the back, right? He asks what the most rational way to live is, totally expecting this oracle to say, hey, you're doing it, buddy. But oh man, he is not ready for the answer he's about to get. To live rationally is to live as a stone lives. Whoa. I mean, that's a complete shutdown of his entire life's project. The oracle is basically telling him that a perfectly rational life isn't a life at all. You can imagine this is not the validation he was looking for. It just pulls the rug right out from under him. So Memnon's reeling. He tries to get back on solid ground, He asks another question, something that feels safe, something from his world of logic and efficiency. He's hoping for a straightforward, practical answer this time. And the oracle just doubles down by eliminating all unnecessary life. It's this incredibly dark, paradoxical bit of wisdom. It's saying that suffering and living are tangled up together. You can't have one without the other. At this point, Memnon's whole framework, it's just completely falling apart. And then comes the final message. And this one is different. It's not some abstract riddle. It's a command, and a deeply personal one at that. It tells him to go make mistakes. And oh, by the way, those paintings you threw out, they're in the bin. This is the moment that forces him out of his head, out of his sterile apartment, and back into the messy, real world. So this is the real turning point. The man of pure reason now has to make a choice. Does he stick to his cold, hard logic? Or does he do something completely ridiculous, totally irrational, and go dive into a dumpster for something he's already decided is worthless? And let's be clear, by every single set metric Memnon had set for himself, those paintings were worth exactly 0. Nada. In the language of his new life, they were objectively, completely useless. But then he remembers something his mother once said about them. She wasn't trying to capture the mountain, she was trying to capture looking at the mountain. And that just clicks. Suddenly, he realizes the value wasn't in the object, but in the attention, in the love that went into it. A whole new way of seeing value when you can't put a number on just opens up for him. So after this whole dumpster diving epiphany, Memnon's entire perspective starts to shift. He goes to meet his friend Charlotte at a cafe, and he starts to see that his little personal crisis, it isn't just about him. It's a mirror of this much bigger obsession our whole culture has with optimization. And Charlotte, his friend, she just hits the nail on the head. She tells him you mistook measurement for meaning. What a line, right? She sees that because he could only measure certain things, those became the only things that felt real to him.
If you can't slap a number on it, like love or beauty, it just didn't exist in his world. And then he looks around this cafe and he sees it everywhere. The crypto guy on a roller coaster of emotion, the woman crying at her laptop, everyone is just running on these invisible treadmills of optimization. They're all sprinting towards some vague destination they can't even name, thinking that going faster is the same as knowing where you're going. Well, as you can probably guess, this new philosophical outlook doesn't go over so well at his data analyst job. So he gets fired. And you'd think that would be the worst thing ever, right? But in a strange way, it's actually what sets him free. This loss becomes his liberation.
And get this, the official reasons for his firing are existential questioning during business hours and philosophical digressions in data presentations. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. In the world of pure optimization, asking big questions about why we're doing things isn't a strength, it's a bug. It's just inefficient.
So without a job, he ends up at this small cafe, and it turns out it's full of people just like him, people who have fallen off the optimization treadmill. They have this great name for it, the University of the Unemployed. And the whole point of this place isn't to find all the right answers, it's about learning to live with the uncertainty, with the questions themselves.
So Memnon's journey doesn't end with him discovering some new, perfect system to replace the old one. No. The real lesson is learning to live without a rigid system at all. And the final piece of the puzzle, the real wisdom, comes from a place he never expected. A letter from his grandmother that he finds after she's passed. And her letter it gets right to the heart of everything. It's not a list of rules, it's more like a series of permissions. She says attention is love, that making something terrible is better than nothing because that's how you learn. And my favorite, don't let them optimize you, sweetheart. It's this beautiful permission slip to be human, to be messy, and to be okay with not having all the answers.
And in the end, the oracle goes quiet. Its job is done. Memnon has learned the ultimate lesson. The most powerful questions aren't the ones you feed into an algorithm, but the ones you're brave enough to ask yourself. And that's where this story leaves us, turning that final thought right back to you. The oracle has no more messages. You are now your own oracle. So, what will you ask yourself?